Okay, we're recording now.
Hi, people. Let me see. Oh no. Let me see. You could stop recording for just 1 second. I got a couple slides and
All right, we're on.
all right, hi everyone. I'm going to let's see if this works. Yes, no. Can you all see the presentation?
Yeah.
Can you see me moving it?
Yeah.
No, not
No,
moving.
that's right, because it happens every time, doesn't it? Let me see. See if this works. Okay, how about now? Can you see me moving the presentation?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So, hi everyone. This is the last presentation I'm going to be doing with Upward Bound. I hope y'all are doing well. Um, so, today I'm going to finish off my small series of presentations with a thing about how to use advising at Evergreen. So, a bunch of you are coming here to Evergreen, and one of the things that people tell me that they wish they did more was to know how to seek help and where to seek it, right? So now that you're going to start college, the last thing we want you to do is to do it alone. You are definitely not alone. You have a lot of people you can ask for help, and we're going to be talking about that today. So before we get to talk about that, there are some things that I kind of want to ask you to set the stage and to kind of give you another a bit of more of a sense of how different things at Evergreen work. So I'm going to ask you this part two of let's see how well you know Evergreen. So these are two true and false questions. So Mundo, I'm going to ask for your response since you're the one here. Um, so let's start with this. True or false? There are two types of degrees offered at Evergreen, Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science. True or false?
False.
False. Why?
I think there's more than arts and science, right?
Yeah, there you go. You got it. It's the Bachelor of Arts and Science as well. So if this was already not mentioned, we don't have majors. So when you graduate, you receive one of these three: a BA, a BS, or a BAS. Okay, so when you start thinking like, well, what exactly am I aiming for? It's one of these three, right? So Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, or Bachelor of Arts and Science. I want to make sure you all see this. So all of you watching, what's it called? In this recording, this is a pretty important graphic because this is a big basis for how we at Advising help you determine whether you're on track. So on the left side, it shows how many credit or what exactly you need to graduate with a Bachelor of Arts. On the middle, it shows you what you need to graduate with a Bachelor of Science. And on the right, it shows you what you need to graduate with a Bachelor of Arts and Science. So if you notice on the left, we've already touched upon this before. You can get 180 credits in whatever course, in whatever subject, and you're done, right? Does that necessarily mean that's what we hope for you to do? No, we hope for you to go deeper into something, right? But institutionally, what the college requires is that you do 180 credits, period, and that's what gives you a Bachelor of Arts. In the middle, I promised I would talk about the Bachelor of Science. There's a pretty important distinction between the credits that you earn, the credits that are in gray, that say any credit, and the credits that are in orange and green. So the credits that are in orange say anything that's science, math, or computer science. And the green says upper division, junior or senior, science, math, or computer science credits. So upper division science, for any one of you who want to do stuff with math or science or computer science, this is the important thing that you need to watch out for. So the catalog will tell you whether something is upper division or not. That's usually stuff that's pretty advanced that if you're doing the sciences, for example, you go in a lab and you collect data and you do a lot of analyses. You get ready to do some research. If you do math and computer science, that means pretty involved projects and problems that require a vast amount of knowledge. Um, and you need 48 of those credits for you to graduate with a Bachelor of Science, on top of the 24 that just whatever other credits you may have in science, math, or computer science. So this is what what's it called? This is the basic requirement for you to get a Bachelor of Science at Evergreen. Does this specify what exactly, like, that all of them need to be in the same subject? No. It can be in any subject that gives you upper division science, but the number needs to, you need to meet that number. If it's 47, it's not good enough, right? If it's 46 or anything less than 48, it's not good enough. You need to make sure you meet that. So in advising, we make sure that you all do that. So and then for those of you who are thinking of Bachelor of Science and and you need a little extra time, a little extra financial aid to try and get that Bachelor of Science on your diploma, that's what the Bachelor of Arts and Sciences is for, right? It takes a longer, but usually it's people who need that extra time, need that extra year to complete their degree that go for the Bachelor of Arts and Science. And this means if you declare this, you get more financial aid. So definitely something we can talk about, down the road if you feel like you need more time to complete that Bachelor of Science. So I promised I would talk about this. This is what the graphic is. This is the important thing that you should keep in mind as you think, well, what exactly do I need to do? So yeah, that was the first question. It went off on quite a tangent, but I want to continue the true or false. So Mundo, second question. Once classes start for the quarter, you cannot change classes. True or false?
I think that's true.
So that means like the first day of class, once that starts, you're stuck with that class.
Oh no, never mind. False.
False, yes. That's exactly right. So you can change classes. It's harder after the first week. And it may involve some actual money for you to pay. $50 late fee. So the best time to do so is the first week of the quarter. The even better time to do so is before the first week of the quarter. There's processes that's involved with that. You may need to do an actual form as opposed to online. So this is why you need to talk to us as well. And if you do find yourself in this situation, please come to advising so we can help you out. Because this stuff you don't want to deal with yourself. You want us to guide you. Okay. So third question, true or false? If you finish a program or course, you earn all of the credits you sign up for. True or false? If you finish it, that means if you go all the way, doesn't matter how well you did, how bad you did, you earn all the credits you sign up for. True or false?
False.
False? That's right. So, Mundo, we don't give grades, right? We already talked about this. You can lose credit when you come to Evergreen. So this is a weird system because we don't do grades. It's not about you actually getting, like, say, a C as opposed to a B. If you pass, you get all your credits. If you miss a lot of class or not turn in a lot of assignments, you can lose credit, meaning that someone paid, say if you're in financial aid, someone paid for you to get 16 credits, but you didn't earn all of them. Or say if you had to pay for some part of it, you paid to take 16 credits, but you didn't get your entire money's worth, right? So there's some things regarding, for example, like what we call academic warning, what we call being not in good standing with financial aid. So you may not, like if you lose enough credit, enough times, you may be in danger of not receiving financial aid, and you may be in danger of being on what's called academic warning, which is also another name for, in other schools call it probation, academic probation, right? So that's important to keep in mind, that just because you sign up for a 16 credit program, just because we don't give grades, that doesn't mean you're going to earn all your credit. That might set you back, right? And we want to make sure we finish in at least at most 6 years, right? Right, Riva? Is that what we said? Is that we want to finish in at most 6 years? This stuff can set you back. So important for you all to know. All right, next question. If you join a program that lasts for more than 1 quarter, you can switch to a different program before it's completely finished. And what I mean is, if it lasts fall, winter, spring, you can switch after the end of fall. Is that true, Raimundo?
Yes.
Yes, that's right. So you can switch after the fall. Like if it lasts a whole year and after 1 quarter, you're maybe not feeling the best, you feel like that may not be the best choice for you. Yes, you can technically. Should you? That's another question, right? So that's when you want to come talk to advising. You want to come talk to Riva. You want to talk to your faculty. You want to make sure you're talking to people, right? All right, so I believe this is the last question for this part. So true or false, you can only get help from advising if you're a current student at Evergreen. True or false?
False.
False. So even if you graduated 30 years ago, you can still come to us?
I believe so.
Yes, you can. So anyone who's a student, a current student or alumni can come to us. All right. It does not matter how long it's been since you've been to Evergreen. You're totally welcome to come to us for help regarding academic and career advising. Okay. So again, for all of you watching this right now, these are important points. I know that by the time you probably go through some sort of orientation, again, it's not clear right now what exactly that's going to look like because, COVID has made everything go crazy. So a lot of things are up in the air. But this is super important information that you should keep in mind as you go forward and as it'll become important, definitely. Okay, so the big question that I want to address is what exactly does advising do, right? So I just told you in this whole true and false thing that you should come to advising, but advising, sometimes faculty don't really know what we do. Sometimes a lot of people on campus don't know what we do, and especially students don't know what we do, right? So I want to make sure I address that first so that you can see kind of the big range of things that we can do and also the range of things that we don't do, because there's also things we don't have the power to change or give information. So what exactly does advising do? Here's a whole list I came up with. So if you need help choosing classes, if you need help understanding our policies, because they can be confusing at times. If you need what's it called? Maybe you need to talk to someone, you don't know who it is. You need to talk to someone for help with something. We can refer you to other people. If you're doing an ILC or internship, you should come to us directly so we can help you with those contracts. They function in contracts, and those need to be worked out ahead of time. If you need help choosing a class, not just for the content, but for the faculty teaching it, we can give you insight into how to choose classes also based on faculty. Because just because it's being taught that year doesn't mean that the faculty may necessarily mesh with you, and we have some insight into that, right? Same with people who have taken the program before. If you need moral support, we're here for that. We're definitely here for moral support. We'll encourage you all the way and try to connect you with things. If you need to create plans on how to do better in class, this is a pretty big one that we try to address. If you need help doing better in class, we can do that. If you need help thinking about grad school and career choices, specifically that's the career advisors, and I'm one of them, but that's also in the career advisors wheelhouse. We can help you with that. And also specifically career advisors, I know I've mentioned this before in these little presentations. So mock interviews where you get to practice with someone. So when we did stuff in person, I was part of one of these. What's it called? I actually, what's it called? I sat in with one of my colleagues and we just prepared this table and had a list of questions and made it seem like it was a totally real interview. And we just did the interview for like an hour, and that is definitely the kind of help that you're going to need if you're preparing for an interview. Same with resume and cover letters. We're not the only people you can reach out to, but we're definitely some people who can put in the time to make sure you have good ones, right? So this big laundry list is not exhaustive. This is not the only things we can do. And also I wanted to shout out also, like, if you are wanting science advice, you should reach out to us and we can connect. I know we used to have science advising when we were in person. So that was two faculty members. One is Paula Schofield and Nancy Murray. They would come in every Wednesday for drop-in science advising. I don't know how that's going to look like in COVID world. It might still be there, it might not. In the spring, it wasn't there. So, but we'll definitely be making sure to let y'all know if you need science advising. That was another big resource point for you all. And One of the big things I think that I wanted to mention, this was in the student handbook, and I want to make sure y'all know it so that you can name it and kind of see how it progresses. Um, this is the shame spiral. Sorry, my cat is messing up with my headphones. This is the shame spiral. So, oh my gosh. Finn, get away. Thank you. So this is the shame spiral. So anyone who's gone through college, and probably you, have encountered this. So I'm gonna go through this to kind of see what it looks like. So it starts when you miss a class or when you miss something. There's something in class that you miss, and you don't hear about a paper that you have to write. So the next stage is you don't have it. So at the next class you attend, you're embarrassed, so you leave. Then the next thing is you're unsure what the next assignment is, so you don't go to the next class. And you don't feel like you can ask faculty. The faculty reaches out to you. You're too ashamed. There's this whole aspect of shame where it can just spiral out of control because of something at the beginning that was missed that could have been fixed, right? So this is not unusual. Riva, have you gone through this? Have you gone through this at some point in college? Because I know I have. Like this is extremely common.
Yeah, I've gone through that, and I definitely saw that with a lot of the students from the bridge program this summer.
Yeah. Like if you can identify the starting point here, this is literally a failure in communication, right? The big thing that I tell every student coming in, um, every new student, that I want to highlight the importance of having a good relationship with your faculty. Not necessarily that you have to like them, but you have to be in good communication with them, right? So if you can feel the confidence to let them know, hey, this emergency just happened, or I'm sick, or I need to miss this class because this thing's happening, like, and then having some way of working out something alternative where you can make up some work, where you can have some other way to access the content and get to do the work. That is what's going to save you from the shame spiral. Okay. If you don't feel confident, if you don't feel confident enough to, if you don't feel confident enough to tackle this spiral, that's what we're here for as well. So advising is not just to try to guide you through the process, it's also to try to guide you through this, because this is way too common at Evergreen and in college in general for you to do it, for you to feel shame also for going through the shame spiral, because that happens too. You're like, oh, I'm going through this, I must not be college material. No, this is just something you need to learn how to work with. These are mistakes that happen. And like I said, the best way to prevent this is good communication with your faculty. That's really the best way to prevent any of this. And then the best way to remedy it is to have good communication with your faculty. But what if you don't feel like you can have, you don't know how to write an email to your faculty, or you don't feel like you want to talk about this, you need help bringing out the words for it. That's what we're here for. Please make sure you recognize when this is happening and come talk to us when it does, or if it happens to, right? So the big thing that I want to say about advising is that when in doubt, ask us. Okay. At any point, when you're in doubt, please ask advising. It doesn't matter how basic the question is. If we tell you to read a website and you don't read it, we may get a little like, come on, we just gave you what you needed. But if you're in doubt and you need help figuring something out, as in next steps, or if you need help, what's it called? Trying to understand something that Evergreen does, because Evergreen is very special and strange. If you need help figuring out how to write a contract, if you need help figuring out what exactly you're going to be doing with your time at Evergreen, we're here for that. So anytime you're in doubt, please ask us. We can take you to the right place, right? So that is a big message I want to give about advising, because then the next thing that I want to say is what we don't do, because we don't do everything, unfortunately, as much as we seem to be in everything. We don't do everything, right? And I have a small list here of things that we don't do, paired with people who actually can help you out with that. And Riva, you can also help me out to see if there's big things that I missed And also, I'm going to ask you how exactly you use. What's your experience with advising after this? See if you can share some stuff about um, your experience with advising at Evergreen. So, um, what don't we do? As much as we're here to help, we don't offer professional counseling. Okay, so if you come to an advisor expecting counseling, we will refer you to student wellness services because they're professionals and we're staff professionals that have a particular duty that is not counseling, right? So some of us have been counselors before, but it's a different relationship being an advisor, right? Here we're trying to guide you in making choices about certain very specific parts of your life. And counseling is a whole different beast where you're trying to tackle emotions, feelings, your emotional history, mental health. That is a whole other can of worms, and we're not prepared to open it. So if you come to if we build like a good relationship, that's great. You know, we can offer like advising and mentoring, but counseling is a whole nother thing. So please make sure you keep that in mind as you come to Evergreen. That if you need counseling or very small medical help, student wellness services can help. We also cannot tell you how much you can earn in financial aid. So I know some folks have asked me like, do you know how much I'm going to be getting out of financial aid? Can you tell me that? No, I cannot, because that's financial aid. I've even asked financial aid, what can I tell students? Is there something like about financial aid that I can tell students? They're like, no, you just tell them to come see us, right? The only thing I can really tell you is that, what's it called? You get 45 credits more of financial aid than the number of credits required to graduate for your degree. So if you're going for a BA or a BS, you need 180 credits, you get 225 credits worth of financial aid. For BA, for Bachelor of Arts and Science, you need 225, you get 270 credits worth of financial aid. How exactly that plays out in your situation, I have no idea because I don't deal with that, right? I can only tell you that these are kind of general ideas and you should talk to financial aid. So that's them. Change your registration, I cannot do that. That's registration and records. They have their own system. They have their own way of working. They have their own way of communicating. They have their own thing going, right? And so I cannot tell you, I cannot change registration for you. I can only tell you how to do it and who to talk to. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about, well, what if I want to change registration, or what's the registration going to look like next quarter and all that. That is registration records. The other thing is, a big thing that happens at Evergreen is people who are doing Bachelor of Science. You don't have a thing in your record that tells you, in total, this is how many upper division science credits you have. You have to request it from registration and records. Registration and records has to tell you how many upper division science credits you have, because they look at your entire transcript. I think all of you are coming in as freshmen with very little credit, right? Is there some credit? 5 credits, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a registration of records can tell you if those 5 credits will count towards upper division or towards your science requirements. Obviously, if you didn't take a science, if they weren't science credits, then no. But
It was iSTEM.
oh, it's ISTEM. But yeah, so they'll tell you if that counted. I'm assuming it does, but I cannot tell you, right? I can only tell you I assume it does, but please check with them. There's a specific form you fill out. I'll give it to you if you come talk to us, okay? And then the last thing I want to mention, that one of the last things that came to mind was tell you how much money you owe to Evergreen or how you can pay Evergreen. That is not us. We can see if you owe money. If Evergreen's like, you cannot register for classes because you owe money, because that happens a lot, that people can't register when they owe money. I think that's changing a little bit. There was a new law that's changing that a little bit for students. But student accounts are the folks who can tell you how much money you owe. Okay, so and how to pay for it. Please don't ask us that, because we're just going to tell you. Please talk to them. And Riva, can you think of any other big names that I should mention here?
I think that you covered most of it. You talked about contracts and help with internships, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one of the big things I can see needing an advisor's help with. There are
Yeah.
some things that you'll need an advisor's approval for,
Yeah.
which usually has to do with contracts and internships,
Yeah.
are my guess, because that's my experience as
Yeah, that's right.
somebody who
Yeah.
sponsors contracts.
Yeah.
Um, and so really one of the things that I would find most helpful, and I didn't actually utilize a lot of the resources at Evergreen, which is part of why I'm working with Upward Bound, trying to make sure you guys know what's available, because it made my experience much more difficult.
Yeah.
But I want to encourage you to utilize the resources, because some of the things that they can do for you is they can be really realistic with you about how your experience is going to be in
Yeah.
a class, or working with any particular office, or working with any particular faculty member. And that can be really helpful, because sometimes it's a faculty member that might make you want to leave school. And if they can help prepare you, like, hey, that faculty member can be really difficult. Like, you need to know that Darcy can be hard, but it's going to be worth it if you can make it through. For instance,
Yeah.
that can be really helpful, because sometimes the class is really good, the information you'll get is really good, but the way the faculty member teaches, or the way that they interact with students, maybe people from rural communities have a different experience with the faculty than people from urban communities. Um, Advisors can help you understand a little bit what your experience is going to be like. And so that's one of the things that I would encourage seeing an advisor for.
Yeah. And thank you for that perspective too. Like, I mean, I did not come to Evergreen for I did not come to Evergreen for college, so I don't have. This is, I'm an advisor and trying to kind of imagine what y'all are kind of experiencing, as students who may need help at some point, right? Because when I was in college, I also did not go to advising, but it was a completely different situation, right? Because in my school, we had majors and we had like a very detailed guide on how to plan for your major. So instead of going to an advisor saying, what should I take next? I looked at the classes and I was like, I think I want to take this one because it fits with this, and this that I'm trying to do, right? Was that the best thing to do? I don't think so, right? Because I'm only basing it off of my feedback, right? And maybe the feedback of another person that took the class. Because I did talk to people, did try to reach out to people who had taken the classes before that I was thinking about, and they would tell me some stuff, right? But if you're the only person giving yourself feedback as to what you can take, right? That's not the best way forward, right? Because then it's only just you and your limited knowledge, as opposed to more people who have more nuggets of knowledge that can be helpful in you making a decision, right? Especially at Evergreen, right? Because since we don't have majors and we don't have a specific guide that you need to, a specific set of steps that you need to follow to graduate, it can feel like you're just kind of lost at sea. So us as advisors, at least I see our job as like even more important than in other schools where they have all this stuff laid out, because we're trying to work with what you're bringing to the table and what you want to do and what you're imagining for yourself. And that's more difficult work for everyone involved, but it's much more worth it. And it can only happen in conversations and not in lists of requirements, right? So that's why these conversations need to happen, and y'all need to reach out to us. So yeah, that's definitely. I mean, I wish I had. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I had gone to a system that was more like Evergreen, right? Because it felt much more like I had a say in this stuff. But my college worked out all right, so I'm not too mad about it. Yeah, so the big thing now, one of the things you can do and you can ask yourself is when exactly you should reach out. Because I don't know if you all knew, but you don't need to, right? There is nothing requiring you to meet with us, which is sad, right? And I don't think it's necessarily the best thing. It's not necessarily the best practice here, right? This is like you do not need to come to advising at all. You can go through your entire Evergreen career without ever knowing who we are or whether we exist or not. Um, so here's a couple of my recommendations for when you should reach out. Uh, Anytime. That's the big thing. So you should reach out anytime, really, with anything. And I did not. So let me just let me stop, or let me see if I can stop sharing for a sec. And I'm gonna I'm gonna put something here because I don't have you all. Let me see. I'm gonna exit in the show. And I'm gonna put in the um. Let me see. I should have that. Okay, so I'm gonna put in the. Oh my gosh. It's doing it. Okay, I'll just do this because I'm at a point in the presentation where I need it to be like this anyway. So I put in the email for advising. This is just how to get a hold of our office, right? It's not necessarily any one of us in particular. I've given you my email already a couple times in each of these presentations, so you know how to reach me. But if you want to just reach advising in general with any question whatsoever, feel free to do that. The other thing, you can text the number, and I'm gonna look up the number real quick so that you'll know about it, because the number is pretty helpful, and we monitor it pretty often. Like it's not that hard to get a hold of us there. So here's what the number is: 360-323-9201. If you text that number, you'll get a hold of us in advising as well, and we can text you back, right? So we can have a whole text conversation, um, and then just kind of work it out like that. Um, the best way to get a hold of us is that text or that email. You can also reach us through Zoom drop-ins, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 1 to 4 p.m. So like just a couple hours ago, I was in Zoom drop-ins, right? I was helping out students and it can be for whatever reason, right? When it was in person, yeah, like sometimes people came all the way and then found out their problem was solved in like 2 minutes, and then they had to leave. But right now, it's very simple because all you need to do is log into a computer and show up, right? So you may only be spending 10 minutes, and you get a whole more information that you would have gotten if you just tried to look at this in the catalog yourself. Um, Also, am I sharing? I'm sharing my I'm sharing my screen, right? Yeah. Okay. And also, I put the website for the advising staff. So sometimes when I say advising, I don't even know who you're imagining or who exactly you think of. Um, so I put the website there. So evergreen.edu/advising/staff to get to know a little bit more about all of the advisors. So there's a good number of us, and we're cool people, right? But I want to put a face to the name, to each of the names that's involved in our office, so that you know exactly who a little bit more about who you would be talking to. And my recommendation for all of you is to check in with us at least once a quarter. At least once a quarter. So that does not require that much of your time. And if it turns out that you need more, you need a deeper conversation, you need more stuff worked out, then we can work on that, right? We can talk about it and then set up more appointments and everything, so that if there's something that really needs urgent attention, it doesn't come as a surprise. We really don't want you to have surprises here. We want it to be as smooth as possible and to know exactly what you're getting into. If you meet with us once a quarter, we can check in on you with that, right? So there's my recommendation, because the thing is, many people never go to advising until the senior spring, when they're thinking about the academic statement, which is a graduation requirement, and ideally takes a lot of time to write, but they leave it to the last minute, a lot of students, and they come talk to us for the first time in their lives. And the conversation kind of goes like, oh, good to meet you. Oh, you're graduating. Oh, great. Well, what can I help you with? Oh, academic statement, and what can you do then? Especially if the deadline's close, or if if there's not, or there's a lot of things that they were hoping to do, but they didn't plan for, right? Planning takes time, as we've talked about with the career planning, right? The best thing you can do is plan, as if the cheesy quote is plan as if you're gonna live forever, live as if you only have today or whatever, right? Yeah, I guess. But like the important thing about that is that you really plan, right? And we're people who can help you do that. So if you don't visit us once a quarter, you won't have the chance to have these conversations with us. They're not like Riva said, we don't sugarcoat things, right? We tell it to you as it is. And I would much rather you know how things are than you have some idea of how it is and just kind of live in this kind of la la land of, yeah, things will work out if I just do this and that, as opposed to us really giving you the real thing, right? Of how things are going to work out. Obviously, we don't know the future, but we know what we're working with at Evergreen. And you'll get to know it too as you go through Evergreen. You'll get to know a little bit more of how the system works, and that's great. But please reach out to us for feedback on all those plans that you're making, because it all takes time, and it might take some tough love sometimes, right? And just letting you know, hey, you need to change course, you need to do this, you need to do that if that's what your goal is, right? So, anything that I should add there, Riva?
I was going to say sometimes advisors will tell students about opportunities, especially like
Yeah,
if a student is looking for specific internship
yeah,
opportunities or to work in specific offices on campus or to
yeah,
do a contract. Actually, it was a trio advisor who ended up getting us one of our summer staff for this year because she wanted to work with kids. She figured the only time she could do it was this summer because everything is online this year and she has a son of her own. And so that would have made it really difficult if we had the traditional summer program. And so he's like, oh, well, this year I think the Upward Bound programs could use your help. And he helped her get a job, and she was one of the students. But the advisors do that a lot too. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's right. No, exactly. Like, and we'll tell you, we'll give you all the things that we have in our arsenal and all the tools that we have for you to be able to get that experience that you're looking for, right? So that's kind of where we're at. And the thing that I wanted to do as I'm coming to a close here, because I do want to I did want to stop like at 45, 50, is who can you ask, right? And how can you reach out to them? So I'm writing it down just so you can see, and so we can kind of brainstorm and see what else we can come up with. So definitely advising is what we talked about. If you want to reach out to financial aid, their website, their email is finaid@evergreen.edu. And one person, so all of you in Upward Bound, one person that I recommend you reach out to is Trina Griffiths. Trina Griffiths is great. Uh,
That's who Mundo's been working with, I believe.
yes, a financial aid wizard. She can do a lot. So, so definitely reach out to Trina Griffiths regarding your financial aid. If you have, if there's something, like if you need, if it's not meeting your needs, um, and if you need help like understanding what it's all about, all of that, please reach out to Trina. Trina's awesome. As far as other, let me see if I can do this. So as far as other things that I mentioned, registration and records, depending on what your situation is with registration, you may need to be in touch with them a lot. Like if there is something, if you try to register for a class and it doesn't let you, but everything else is going fine, it might be a glitch. You need to reach out to them, right? So that's them. I said student wellness services as well. So this one is pretty gnarly because uh, the email is literally student wellness services, and there's 3 S's there in the middle that can look kind of weird. But that's them, right? So, and then also student accounts. So that's student accounts at evergreen.edu. One set of people that I didn't mention was student access. So access services. So if you have a documented disability, right? If there's accommodations that you need, you need to reach out to them. You really need to. There's no one who can do that for you. You know, now that you're in college and all, you have to reach out to them by yourself, right? And kind of take the initiative of saying, I need help and I need these accommodations. How can you help, or how can I get them, right? So, and that's access services. So that's access, again, the three S's. So services is at evergreen.edu. And yeah, like, is there anything else that I'm missing here that really important?
Technology support.
Yes, yeah, that's right. So I believe that's help at evergreen.edu.
To submit a help ticket, it's help.evergreen.edu, and then the email is
Or is it tech? Support, there you,
support@evergreen.edu.
that's right. Thank you. And then, okay. So there's that. Yeah, I think that's a pretty comprehensive list. I did also want to shout out the Writing Center and the Quasar. So huge resources that you have at your disposal. The Writing Center, what's it called? Helps you with writing, and Quasar, it helps you with math and science. So I'm gonna, so the Writing Center and the Quasar, they're definitely people you should reach out to. The Writing Center doesn't care if you're writing anything for class or not. If whatever writing you want, whatever writing you want help with, they're there to help. And then for the Quasar, that's any type of math help, any math or science help or computer science, anything that counts for upper division science, really, kind of. They're likely to have a tutor for those really difficult upper divisions. So that one is not necessarily guaranteed, but the lower division classes definitely, I've seen them pretty full. Like if you need help with stats, calculus, physics, chemistry, biology, like all those entry level classes, they're there. They're there to help. Yeah. So, and last thing, there's my contact info. Like I said, please reach out to me, and if not, then I'll be just reaching out to you. And please respond. Check your spam, check your junk email or your spam folder, because that's what I've seen. Some folks have said that they haven't been able to get my message because it's in the spam folder. There's also my work cell number that you can text. You can just text that number to get a hold of me, and we can schedule something. And again, please reach out to us when you're in doubt. Reach out to us once a quarter to make sure you're going the right path. Yeah, I look forward to working with you all. And thank you all for being my audience for these presentations.
Thank you, Luis.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Mundo?
No.
All right, cool. So let's pause the recording.